This one speaks loudly and has lots to say. It's almost like it's from Yorkshire. Welcome back, whisky fans. We're looking at another new distillery, and it's another English whisky this time. So last time we looked at the English whisky company Farmers Single Grain Whisky, which was a little bit of a cheat entry because they've been around for quite a long time now. But this one is well and truly a new distillery. This is from the Spirit of Yorkshire distillery, which was founded in 2016 under the guidance of the late Jim Swan. This is Filey Bay Flagship. So let's get straight into it. It's a full craft presentation whisky. It's natural colour, non-chill filtered, and exactly 46%. So they've kind of taken the path of least resistance there. They, like all distilleries, realise that us whisky geeks that buy these things, we want a craft presented whisky, and they've just given us exactly that. It's also made exclusively from their homegrown barley from their own farm. It's matured in bourbon casks. And what I find really interesting about this one is that they actually give you a little sneak peek into the distillery on the box. This is really, it's quite unique. I think Auchentoshan did a similar thing a long time ago, but if we're honest, Auchentoshan is not the most interesting of whiskies. But on the box of this Spirit of Yorkshire whisky, they show you the inner workings of their distillery, right from the barley to, what the hell is that? So that's steeping, germinating and kilning, and then there's a little diagram of a malt mill there, I think that's what that is. And then you've got the washback and the mash tun there. As we move on, you're then running into a copper pot still with a shell and tube condenser. But then, that's where it gets interesting. If you look at all of this stuff up here, this is not normal sort of Scotch style whisky apparatus. If you look at that diagram in the top right, over on the right here you've got what is obviously a spirit still, but then coming off the line arm you've got another path here, another copper pipe going down to this thing here, what looks like a column still or possibly some sort of beer stripper. And then from that you're coming out and going back into that spirit still, or out of the top of that column still going into this condenser here, and then back to the spirit safe. So it's a little bit open to interpretation, but it seems to me that they're obviously using a double distillation with a wash still and a spirit still, but they're then using what appears to be a column still, kind of like some other distilleries use a purifier. So it's kind of like a purifier with extra distillation added in. Obviously, anyone who's familiar with their Scotch will know that by the Scotch Whisky Regulations 2009, this cannot be called single malt. But also you may have realised that this is not Scotland, and down here in England we're not governed by the Scotch Whisky Regulations 2009, so we can do things like this. So let's get it out of the box and have a little look. I do like the presentation on this one. Very clean, sort of no nonsense presentation. Lovely bottle as well. Got some screeching gulls on the bottle there, some waves. Nice, clean, simple, straightforward label. And you can see down the bottom there where it matters, natural colour, non-chill filtered, 46%. Product of England, Spirit of Yorkshire. As for the cork on this one, I think you'll probably agree that that is an absolutely beautiful cork stopper there. Little metal effect type inlay in there, and this natural wood stopper. Sadly, when you actually look at the cork, it is one of those crappy sort of glued compressed crumb affairs, so that's a little bit of a disappointment, but I guess at least we get a cork stopper. So let's get some in the glass. Filey Bay English Yorkshire whisky on the nose. Interesting, very interesting. Which is kind of half the battle won, isn't it? at least one thing that you can say about this whiskey is that it's not dull, it's not light, it has flavour and character, it's interesting. On the nose, I'm getting lots of slightly odd citrus fruitiness. There's also a lot of creamy vanilla in there, and I'm sure that's coming through from the spirit and equally from those ex-bourbon casks. That citrus spiritiness, though, is really quite unique. It's almost like kind of like a lime yogurt note. Lots of influence from the barley as well. Very clean, gristy barley notes. A little bit of a lemon sherbet note on the nose. Laser sharp, which I really, really like. I like my sharp, lemony, focused, spirit-driven whiskies. So yeah, lemon, lime, creamy, yogurty, slightly lactic, but really very sharp, very focused. Really good character-filled nose. Let's see how it tastes. Lovely natural looking colour there, and already I haven't added any water to this. It's at the full 46%, but already a little bit of haze in there, so you definitely know it's a natural craft presented raw product. On the palate, getting more bold citrus notes. It's kind of like Robinson's lemon barley water. Also lots of slightly chalky mineral hard barley notes, which is something that I'm rapidly starting to associate with English whiskey. I do wonder if that slightly hard, chalky, mineral cereal note is a common note in a lot of new English whiskey distilleries. It's definitely something that I've seen in this and Bimber, English Whiskey Company. Lots of English whiskey distilleries seem to have that hard cereal note. It's going to have another sip. Pleasant astringency on this one, a little bit of a kind of grapefruit astringency and a really pleasant oakiness. And on the late palate, lots of growing, chalky, lemony malt. As for the finish, I'm going to say medium long on this one. It's a really decent finish for such a young whiskey. Medium long and lots of lemony oak. So yeah, this Yorkshire whiskey definitely speaks loudly and has lots to say. In a good way though. And as I alluded to before, I actually think that it's really good that this one is bold and brassy, because it's a little bit of a pleasant surprise after a few of these other new releases have been a little bit on the gentle and tame side. As for whiskies that this is like, I'd say that this is not a million miles away from the sort of thing that you get from Bimber. Obviously with Bimber you have the added benefit that most of their whiskies are presented at very high strength, whereas this one is just 46%. But that sharp lemony intensity and the barley notes on this one, I think that the kind of thing that we'll hopefully get from Bimber one day, like a 46% widely available, affordable general market release, I can see that kind of thing from Bimber being very similar to this. As for a grade, this one, it's got wonderful flavours, but it is still a little bit young and ever so slightly simple. But the flavours that are there are very bold, very enjoyable, very honest. Going to give this one a B-. So that's at the low end of what I would call very good. And I don't think they're going to have to do too much work to this to get up to a full B. Just going back to their strange arrangement with their stills, with their... And I didn't actually show you the side with the casks, so I'll just show you that. But going back to their arrangement with the stills, where they've got their wash still and then feeding into the spirit still, which feeds into that column still, and then back into the wash still. I almost hate to see this whiskey being so good using that column still, because normally, probably like most of you, I am an advocate of pot stills. I think that pot stills are the proper way to make proper whiskey, but this really is very good. They've done a fantastic job here, and tasting this, I do get the feeling that that column still does contribute to that unique, laser sharp, almost triple distilled-esque lemony fruitiness. I think without that that column still, whatever they're doing there, this wouldn't be the same. So it's really good to see further development of the English style. It's a little benefit of us down here south of the border not being bound by all of those obviously necessary regulations that they have up in Scotland. And it's great that we're seeing that innovation and branching out of style here in England. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they come out with next up there in Filey Bay. Thanks for watching, and cheers.